It is now January of 2021.
Yay!
So
2020.
So we thought we would take this opportunity to list for you our top 5 campgrounds of our first year of RVing.
Maiden voyage.
Our maiden voyage is, yes. Okay.
So without any ado, let's get right into the list. These are in order, but we're going to work backwards from 5. So at the number 5 slot is...
Up the Creek.
Up the Creek. Up the Creek RV Camp, I think is the full official name of it, is located in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and it is very close to the triangle of Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville. If you like being outside of the craziness of that place, but still close enough where you can get there in, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes or so, something like that, this is a great park. Why don't you talk a little bit about what it was like driving into Pigeon Forge and then getting to that park and the things that we saw on the way?
Yeah, so as you drive in, you pass quite a few RV parks. These RV parks, the other RV parks that we went in, they were just so jammed in and just right on top of each other. There weren't trees in there. It was like going through a housing development that's been clear cut.
Right, and we're freaking out because we're driving past these things and thinking, oh my gosh, this is what we're going to end up with. And then we ended up going down this little country road, made a left-hand turn, and angels singing. Here's Up the Creek RV Camp. It was spectacular, just beautiful. Nice sites, lots of space between the sites. It was full hookups. The only negative about this campground was the fact that they didn't have a bathhouse.
Right.
So you're kind of on your own there. But in every other respect, and there's no pool either. There are not a lot of amenities because the thinking is people are here to go to the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, or they're going to Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge or whatever. So, you know, the focus was on the destination, not the campground itself.
And it's not a huge campground either. It's actually pretty small.
Yeah, I think there's maybe less than 60 sites, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was number 5.
Right.
So moving on to number 4 is Sawnee Campground, which is in the Lake Lanier area of Georgia, just north of Atlanta. So what did you like about that place?
Okay, so it is an Army Corps of Engineer park.
Right.
So most of the they are very awesome. Most of the Corps of Engineer parks, at least the ones that we are familiar with, that we have gone to, they don't have full hookups, so they don't have sewer, but they have water and electricity. But most of them, and the ones we have stayed in, are on some sort of body of water.
Right.
And we were in Site 25.
Which was great.
It was
But it wasn't
fabulous.
As great as the 3 best in the campground, which are 16, 17, and 18, right on a peninsula.
Yeah.
Just unbelievably beautiful. We just kept walking over to the peninsula and gawking at these 3 sites because they were just so wonderful.
The views off these sites onto the lake.
Yeah, you have 180 degrees, because you're on the point of a peninsula. It was just beautiful. The campground itself, there are parts of it that are great like that, and then there are other parts of it that are, it's okay. Right. It was kind of small. There weren't a ton of sites. If you brought your bikes and you wanted to bike ride, it wasn't going to take you very long to bike ride because the park's just not big enough. It's kind of on a, I don't know, kind of a road you describe this as. It drives through several other campgrounds and other parks that are part of the Lake Lanier Dam system there. The Buford Dam, which is around the corner. So it's not the best place to ride a bike because there's no shoulder. Right. And so bike riding, not so great. But if you're just interested in sitting in a chair and just looking at all the activity that goes on in the lake, it's a perfect park for you. It's really wonderful.
And there really was a lot of activity on this particular
boats,
lake.
water skiers, I don't know, jet skis, you name it, it's going by, so you can get entertained pretty well. So that was number 4.
Okay, so number 3 was
Two Rivers Landing RV Resort in, I think it's in Sevierville, Tennessee. This is I think this was the first private campground that we'd gone into on our entire journey here, and we loved it. It's not huge at all. It's basically one road. On one side of the road are all the Class A's that are facing the French Broad River, and then on the other side of the road is everybody else. And you were sort of facing the Class A's across the street with Class A and B. We're a Class C, so we didn't measure up with the A's. Didn't matter. It was a beautiful park, incredibly well manicured and kept. Lots of space between each rig, and there was lots of landscaping and bushes and trees, so you didn't feel like you were right on top of your neighbor, even though you kind of were. But you're right on that river, and it was just absolutely beautiful. They have a great clubhouse, wonderful laundry. I mean, I don't get too excited about laundry because it's laundry. But this was, I could get excited about just sitting there reading a book while laundry's going on.
They had a couch
really
in
nice.
there.
Right. There's a pool, which of course we're there in October, so no pool for us, but right on the river. So you're just overlooking at whatever's going on in the river.
And the bathhouse was impeccable. It was very clean.
Super
you had
nice.
No issue. They were in there like at least twice a day cleaning it. I mean, and they were very. The staff was very responsive. Yeah.
And location-wise, you're right on the parkway that goes from Sevierville into Pigeon Forge. So you've got 60 zillion restaurants there, all sorts of other things. You can walk to the Knife Works factory outlet, which is right around the corner. And then there was a strip mall there. There was a gun range there too, as I recall. Yes. It was a great place for me because I try to walk 4 miles a day, and there was this sort of weird loopy thing that I kind of mapped out that I could walk on. So that was great. So our first exposure to a private campground was really wonderful. So thumbs up to Two Rivers Landing for that. Number two
was the Crooked River State Park.
In St. Mary's, Georgia.
I'll
let you talk a little bit about that.
So that one was a great campground again. We did not have full hookups, right? No, right, because
we did.
Made a mistake.
Get into that in a separate video, but
right, yeah. So stay tuned for our mistake in a separate video there. But anyway, it was just a beautiful campground. Again, we weren't on top of each other. We had a lot of space. And we were in this like grove area. It was very shaded, as well as sunny. But we were like on the corner lot, so we had, I think, an extra large.
Yeah, it was really big. The campground is located right on a river that leads into the ocean. You're right next to was it King's something submarine base. Right down the street from there. But it's really a giant pine grove. And they, like Charlotte said, there's lots of space between each site. The sites are just beautifully kept. And we got there and they were mowing the grass at the time. And I'm thinking, this already looks great. There's all sorts of things to do in the state park. There's a nature center. There are all sorts of other nature, I don't know what you'd call them, places where you can climb up on these platforms and watch wildlife.
Bird watches.
And then there's a day use area that was just beautiful, a boat launch, great place to ride your bike. Lots of places within the park to ride your bike, and then outside the park there were nice neighborhoods where you could ride for several miles and you're safe, and it's just really fun to look at. So,
and it had some trails in it that you could bike down
trails.
Or walk through.
Right.
They had cabins that were out there, so that was really nice as well.
So really, really nice state park. Georgia, as a general rule, their state parks are really, really nice. We didn't have as much of a chance to take advantage of them this year, but next year we have several on the docket, so we'll probably have one of those hit the top 5 list next year. And number 1, drum roll please, was W.P. Franklin Corps of Engineer Park in Alva, Florida. Wow. I can't say enough great things about W.P. Franklin. It is basically an island in the shape of a chevron. So there are 2 wings to the campground. and it's right on
The locks.
What's the name of it? The Chattahoochee. It's not Chattahoochee. It's the Caloosahatchee River. So many Hatchee rivers around Georgia and Florida. Caloosahatchee River, and there's a lock and a dam right there.
Yeah.
So no matter what site you're in, you're basically on water. There are maybe 2 sites in the entire campground that are not on water. They're on the inside row, so you're not on water. And those are buddy sites, so there's an advantage if you go with friends in another rig. But just an absolutely beautiful park, and it's Corps of Engineers, so it's kept to the nines. It's just amazing.
We had a nice grassed front lawn
overlooking the river with these incredible sunsets to our west. Just a beautiful place.
And
it was a great place to walk. It didn't take you long to walk the entire length of the park because there's only I don't know how many sites are in there. Is it 30? I think it's 30.
Something like that.
Yeah,
it
not very
wasn't
many.
huge, but it was beautiful coming into it as well, because you went through all these horse farms and cattle farms, and there's like a quarter-mile entry road before you actually
with palm trees on either side,
It's
so you feel like you're in Hollywood going down towards some whatever. Anyway, it's just beautiful. Highly recommended. And you're near Fort Myers. You're like 10 or 15 miles from Fort Myers. So if you're looking for something to do at night, you want to go to a restaurant, whatever, there's everything in Fort Myers that you would need. Little Alva it's tiny, I'm not going to lie, but there are some restaurants, and there's, infrastructure like laundromat or whatever that's there too. So just a great place. I would go back there in a second. And we will actually be going back this spring for another visit there. So that's our top 5. You want to mention any honorables?
Yeah, we had a couple of honorable mentions.
Almost cracked the top 5, but not quite. One of them was
Anchor Down.
Anchor Down. Everybody's
again, that's in Tennessee.
Right. That makes everybody's top 5 or top 10 list, and we really loved it too. It was really great. But we didn't love it as much as these other 5. Part of it was because the sites were really close together.
Very close together.
If you were lucky and you were on the outside, so you had these, beautiful lake panoramas, then that probably would have skewed your view of the place.
Or if you were up on the hill and overlooking. There's
different tiered levels in that park, and if you were at the very top level, I can see why everybody would rank that number 1.
Right. And as far as for kids, it had a lot of different activities that kids could actually do.
Yeah.
And they were doing trick-or-treating while we were there on Saturdays, each Saturday.
I think it's a different park in the summer because so much of it is based on water in the lake, whatever. It's warm. They have a great pool there too.
Right.
We were there in October, so the lake was kind of, other than boating, it was kind of off limits a little bit. But like Charlotte said, there's just a ton of activity there. It's very family oriented. So that almost cracked the list. Another one that almost cracked the list, our final one, is Duckett Mill Campground, which is again on Lake Lanier in Georgia. Very similar to Sawnee in terms of its niceness. It's just beautiful. In some ways it's better because the campground itself is much bigger, 2 or 3 times the number of sites, a lot of them on these beautiful overlooks. But in terms of the best site, we gave it to Sawnee because the sites on that peninsula just are, you just can't beat them. So
we had a great site, but we were
not on the water.
obstructed by trees and
but
stuff.
If you have a chance to go there, don't even hesitate. It's a great campground. So that wraps up our top 5 plus 2 bonus ones, and we'll catch you later.